Hi, I'm Giles Pearson. I'm the co-founder of Account Tests, and the purpose of this video is to help you interpret our Bookkeeper test report. So the most important thing with the Bookkeeper report is to understand how we put it together. So what we did was we got an expert group of bookkeepers to help us generate a question set, which we then split those questions into 3 levels. So that's what the expert group did for us. And the idea is that by putting your candidate through this test, you can see at which of those levels they are competent at. You can compare those levels to your job description and see whether the candidate's got the competencies that you need for the job that you've got. So we'll have a look at those levels in a minute, but that's how we developed this test. So if you're having a look at the report that you've got on the screen there, you can see in the top right-hand corner is the order number and the candidate's name. So if you're looking anything up in the portal, you will need the order number. And then at the bottom of the first page, you can see the time taken. So that's how long the candidate spent in the test. The test is 40 minutes in total. So if the time says 40, that means they were still working on the test when the time ran out. If it's less than 40, you can see how many minutes they spent. The start and finish times are not that relevant because that's simply how long they were in the browser, and that includes them filling out the bio data and doing some sample questions. So it does tell you what time of the day they did the test, but not a lot else. The next page gives you some background. In particular, there's a link there through to our proctoring video and information. So all of the tests are proctored. What that means is that the camera was on for the candidate. There's a separate video about how to access the proctoring report and how to read it and understand what the proctoring is telling you. If you go on to the next page, this is where we get into the levels. So you can see here that there are 3 levels. Level 1 is in essence a processor. So what you're testing here is does the candidate have the capability to process information through the accounting software? They won't understand debits and credits, or that's not a requirement at that level. So it's really, can they process information correctly and deal with basic issues that come along whilst they're doing that. The second level is probably the most common one. That's what you might call a full charge bookkeeper or a fully competent bookkeeper. And this is somebody who can take the accounts through to month-end close, report on those, maybe not see some of the issues that are in those financials, probably not give as much insight to the business owner around those financials, but certainly competent in the debits and credits and competent to deal with issues as they come along and get those financials to a good standard. Whereas the level 3 is really the level up from that, is providing that more advisory input into the relationship, fixing any more sort of complex issues that come along and adding that value to the business owner. So it's really more at that, starting to get into that controller level. You can see on here there's the competency threshold. So our expert group said that candidates need to be 70% correct at any one level to show competency at that level. So you can see also that you can see here the questions that they got right, the ones that they got wrong, that's in red, and in the grey area is any questions that they didn't answer. And we can then dive in a bit more deeply. So we look at the questions that were relating to accounting concepts. So these are more the theory aspects. Business support, so that's the advisory and the added value. Journals and processing is probably the key one, and you can see we ask the most questions around that. So this is the processing of the information, the understanding of what the software is doing, so understanding of the debits and credits and how to then fix issues and what is the computer doing, so that if there's an issue that doesn't look right, you can understand what's happened and work out how to fix it. And then the last one is tax and payroll. So this is not income tax. So this is indirect taxes and payroll taxes. And then on the next page, you can see we go through the questions one by one. What was the question about? Which category was it in? Which level? And did the candidate get it right or wrong? And you can see there the any little grey circles are ones that the candidates didn't answer. Typically, we see if a candidate doesn't get to the end of the test. So there are questions that you see that are unanswered. Generally, it means that the candidate has run out of time, they're struggling with the material, and you'll often then see a poor result for the candidate at the same time. And then the last page goes through the interpretation, which is pretty much what we've done, and our contact details. So if you've got any questions about the report you're looking at, you're more than welcome to contact us at help@accounttests.com. Other than that, thanks for watching this video.